Hi. I knit a pair of socks for my father who has really big feet. And I knew that this was going to be a Christmas present because he really deserves to have warm feet. They live in a cold house, and I knitted him a pair of socks ages ago and he's worn them so much, and now he deserves a thicker pair. But I knew that this was going to take ages. So I planned ahead. I'm very proud of myself for doing that. I planned ahead by not only getting the yarn in time, but also starting knitting in time. So these are the socks. They have now spent a few weeks scrunched up, rolled up in my gift knitting basket, or my finished gift basket. And they are really big. They are quite heavy as well because the yarn is quite dense and very fluffy and very soft. I think he's going to love them. But as you can tell, these are very, very large. It's a size 46 European, so a size 12 or 13 US. It is a big sock and it took ages to knit, so I'm very happy that I don't have to do that in the month of December. So now that you know what you're getting, if you want to see how I got there, and if you want to see myself a few months ago when I was just recovering from the Pride Week in Stockholm, very husky voiced, nails chipped, probably a bit hungover. If you don't keep watching for yourself, keep watching for myself, because I did such an amazing job and I was so disciplined getting this done and starting knitting this, not feeling my best. Good morning. I finally want to start working on the socks I'm planning to make for my father for Christmas. So I did get the yarn for this project back in August when my partner and I were visiting Norway, and this is the Alpakka Forte by Garn, which I understand it as a House of Yarn sub-brand. And this is an 80% alpaca and 20% nylon mix. And the nylon in this yarn, of course, makes it more durable for sock wearing. My father has quite large feet, and I made him a pair of socks years ago, and I love that he is wearing them so much, but they are quite thin, and this yarn is a bit thicker, so I would love to make him a pair that is thicker, that can take him through the colder months of the year, because they have stone floors at home, and therefore it will get quite cold in the winter, in the fall and winter times. So I hope to get these finished by Christmas to be able to give them to him. I have 3 different shades of blue. Just like my favorite color is green, my father's favorite color is blue. That is what he wears basically every day in some sort of configuration. So these 3 together, I thought, in just my basic sock pattern recipe that has been handed down to me throughout the generations, which I suppose is a vanilla sock or a basic sock pattern, but I will be casting on 76 stitches because the last pair I made were 72 stitches and they are a bit snug. And I will be using my usual 2.5mm needles, and I will be doing a 2x2 rib down the leg and then a heel flap and gusset. Is that, sorry, something outside the window. So a heel flap and gusset where I make a heel flap with half of the stitches, leave the other half while I do the flap, then knit together the gusset in thirds, and then knit the whole foot together, doing some decreases along the side of the foot to make a sloped shape for the foot, which is how I make all of my socks, and how I have been making them since I was 14 or something, when I started knitting socks for my friends. Anyway, so that is the plan. And I'm just now seeing that the recommended needle size for this is a 3.5, but since I want them to be thicker winter socks, I'm going to start with the 2.5, and if I realise that this does not work, I will switch it up to a lot larger size, but so far I'll start with a 2.5. I'm now just finishing another hour. This hour was just spent watching YouTube after dinner. I'm filming this in the beginning of autumn, so I'm actually still in my old place to be, my old to be place. Anyway, so a few more weeks before I move in with my partner, and I spend the evening knitting alone. So this is the progress of the sock so far, and I mean, this is a huge sock. It is knit for a size 46, and last time I knit my father a pair of socks, I knit the heel flap too short, and it's been bothering me every time I've seen him wear them because the heel seems to drag down a bit. So now I went out for the entire length of the heel, but it's just massive. So it's a 36, or hang on, it's a 38 row heel, and that means it's a lot of decreases to then get back to the original number of stitches for the foot. And I don't know how this will actually look. I will it at the moment it looks sort of baggy, and it might be a fail, but that's why I'm knitting it in August, because it could be a fail and I still have time to redo them. But anyway, I wanted to show you what the hours have meant. So I place a pink marker for the start of an hour. So this was an hour of waiting for the bank to call me back. So that was a quite productive hour, even though the bank tried to take the hour from me. This was not, what was this? Yes, this was 15 minutes between meetings, and then I just knit along quite happily. Then I started knitting the heel, and I nearly finished the entire heel in 1 hour. So from there down to, you can see that I joined the gusset. I started knitting the gusset. Is this called the gusset? And nearly finished the entire heel in 1 hour. And then I just knit the decreases in my own without timing it, and then this portion has been another hour just in front of YouTube. So far 1 hour 2 hours, 3 hours, so probably 5 hours of work. So when I say an hour, I've also, this is of active knitting time, so whenever I've taken a break to stretch or to reply to an email or get up and get a glass of water, I paused the timer. So this is what an hour of active knitting time gives you, or gives me. We all have different knitting speeds, and this is 202 rib up here and then a stockinette stitch, so it's quite easy. It's not difficult at all. I'm now just realizing that I might be running out of this yarn, so I got the yarn in 3 colors. So I started knitting the cuff in this dark blue, and then I knit the heel in the dark blue as well. Then I have the mid blue for the shaft, the leg portion, and then the light blue for the foot. And I stopped the mid blue when I had half of the ball left, so I weighed it, and now I'm a bit worried that I might actually have gone over. I will have to go weigh this, because I figured I would then go back to using the dark blue for the toe. It will look a bit like a patchwork sock. That was my goal, because I didn't want it to be a single colour sock. That could potentially have been a bit boring. But I will go weigh the light blue and see if I can knit a bit more with it, or if I need to start on the dark blue right now. Okay, so these are my kitchen scales. You can see they are mostly used for cooking, but this is good. So this is the middle blue that I knit for the shaft. Okay, it's time to switch up for the toe color. And all right, I have a bit more of this, so that's good. So in the harsher light, these are the colors, and I will be knitting on the toe. I will be switching up the colors for the toe now. Will that be too short? Will that look strange? Do I go out and buy another one of these in the light blue? But that would be a different dye lot. So yeah, and the battery is low. My mental battery is low too. It's quite late. I'm going to go to bed. Oh yeah, and also I knit a banana bread. Go to bed. I made a banana bread because we had a lot of overripe bananas at work Friday, and I knew that they would just get tossed on Monday if no one rescued them, and I don't like mushy bananas, but I thought I'll take them home and make banana bread. But the only way I like my banana bread is with a ridiculous amount of chocolate, so that's what I did, and nobody stopped me. So I think I'll be bringing some of the banana bread to work tomorrow. So it's been a few weeks since my last talking update. I was still working on the first sock, which you can see now is finished. It is still quite large and in charge, but it's not as ridiculously proportioned as I thought it might be. So when I was just finished with the body of the sock, so the light blue part, I thought this is going to look super odd and not proportional at all, and I was afraid that it might be too wide around the foot, so that the heel was too long. But now looking at it, I really like it. I think this is going to fit really well, and I think it's going to be super snuggly for my father for Christmas. I'm always contemplating giving it to him before Christmas, because winter in Sweden, or the cold season, starts in October, and he would love these before Christmas, but I'll think about it. I mean, this video is going up for Christmas, but I might already have given them to him before this video goes up. I will see. And I'm nearly finished with my second sock. So no second sock syndrome. This has been such a good knit to work on for my all of the moving that I've been doing the last few weeks. We finally finished and finalized the move. We've had 3 apartments between the two of us for a month now, and all of the small bits and bobs to fix and small reparations to make and all of the boxes to move and then the last few cleaning supplies. It's just been such a hassle, and the subway system in Stockholm is very good. It's quite far spread, and I used to live on the second to last stop, or second from the start of one of the lines, and now I live on another line where there isn't a good connection between. So driving takes 16 minutes by car. The subway takes an hour and 5 minutes. So I have been ordering a few Ubers in the last few weeks, and you saw me knitting in one of them. I also knit a lot of these simple projects in my commute to work, because I have 40 minutes of subway commute to my workplace. When I work from home, my commute is 7 meters to the sofa. But on those days that I do go into the office, which is 3 days a week, I take some knitting or some editing, but most of the time knitting, because that's a more mindless knit and I don't want to spend my morning commute time staring at a screen. Anyway, I digress. I did end up having enough to mirror the light blue completely, and the heel is also the exact same measurement, and the shaft is also the same amount of yarn for each. Now, with just the toe left, this is all I have to knit the toe. And if I had knit this in a yarn that I'm familiar with, so like Regia or Dropsfabel, I would know how to feel about this amount, but I've only just started my decreases. I have quite a lot of rows to go, but the rows get shorter. So will this end up being a game of yarn chicken? Probably not. But for the tension, for the excitement, for the drama of it, let's see if I win. So on my list, I had my Billy sweater, which is one of Billy Holder. It's one that I would really love to finish. It's really not that hard to finish, except that I have to do some sweater surgery before I go past on new ones. If you also had a hot work summer, I would love to hear what you worked on and what you were able to accomplish this season. I'm really proud that I was. Okay, so I have now finished the every second round decreases, and I'm going into the every round decreases, and this is how much yarn I have left. It's going to be tight.
I might get it done, but I don't think so. But hope is the last thing that leaves a person, so let's get on with it. And why is it that whenever I play a game of yarn chicken, I knit faster, as if knitting faster will make the yarn go longer? It's an absurd thing, but I can't explain it. Do you do that too? Am I the only one? So I just want to get it done and see if the yarn will be enough, or if I have to rip back or think about something else. Because I did knit the first few rows of each sock with the dark blue yarn as well. So what I could do is go back and undo those first few rows and just sew the loose ends or the live stitches down, make like pretend as if it was a provisional cast on, and take some of that yarn and use it for these last few rows or rounds. It is hopeful that the rounds get shorter and shorter every row. This is not going to be enough. Because I already finished the other sock. I didn't sew in the ends, so what I could do is just undo the last few rows of the second or the first sock and knit that in the light blue that I still have some scrap yarn for, and I could have two matching socks, because I don't want this one sock to be different than the other one. See, I'm not going to make it. Do I just give up now and try and find a solution, or do I knit until I don't have any more yarn? But these decreases are going to be so annoying to undo, so I don't know why I continue. I continue because the camera is running and because I feel obligated to show you what happens to a lost yarn chicken game. I thought I was doing so well with measuring, with weighing the yarn beforehand. But I was apparently not careful enough with the dark blue, because the light blue was enough and the middle blue was also enough. But this is not. Yeah, I have lost yarn chicken. Do I just pull everything through and see how that looks? Yes. Because it's going to be annoying undoing this anyway, and I might, or you know what, do I just stitch these together? I think I'll do that. Kitchener stitch the two sides together. Could that work? Maybe. Do I have enough yarn for that? Also, maybe, no, I don't. Oh, this is frustrating. See, if I had just decreased, if I just had not done this last little bit. Do I try and graft? No, these are too short. And here, why did I leave such long ends? I could have used these long ends. I'm going to use the long ends. I really don't want this to, and I will needle felt this together so that the stitches don't just slip out. How was this twisted? And I know that this isn't going to felt the yarn together because it's superwash, but it's going to help them grip together a bit more than if I didn't do this. Okay, onwards and upwards we go. Okay, I have hope again. See, this is the tricky part, one of the many tricky parts of knitting, because you want to leave yourself a long enough tail to bind off with or to weave in your ends. And I hate having to fiddle around with stitches being too tight or being afraid of the yarn, the ends running. But then you come to situations like this where instead you left too long an end, and that ended up costing you losing yarn chicken. See, now I have to cut this in half. Do I cut it? No. Do I have a perfectly fine pair of scissors to cut the yarn with? Yes, I do. Will I use it? No, I won't. Because now I am determined. Oh, hang on. This is a bit fiddly, as it always is at the very end of a toe. Ideally, I would have gone for one more round, so I only had 8 stitches left on the entire DPN set, but now instead I had 12. But that is, I think, fine by me. We are going to see in just a few seconds how the two socks look together. Okay, I lost Yarn Chicken, but I won the war. So here they are, the socks in all of their glory. And yeah, this sock does not have as neat a finish as the first one. But you know what? I am happy with this. This is a success. I'm going to block these. That is to say, I'm going to pop them in the washing machine. I don't think I will actually block them because I want the rib to remain ribbed. I don't want to stretch it out. And then I will see how they look afterward, after blocking, after washing and drying. So there we have the finished socks. I'm quite pleased with these. I'm very pleased with my work on these. Not necessarily because it's a difficult construction by any means. This is the same sock recipe that I use for all of my socks, regardless of size. It's based on the sock recipe from my great aunt, who was a very prolific sock knitter for all sizes. And it's just a good standard pattern. But what I am proud of is making my very practical father a pair of socks that are going to be enjoyable to wear. Not just practical, but actually enjoyable. They are warm, they are fuzzy enough. It doesn't have any bumps over the top or the bottom of the toes, so where I know that my father's Birkenstocks are going to chafe practically, there aren't any bumps or anything that could irritate his feet. The decreases are on the sides, so they are as inconspicuous as possible for what I know that my father uses daily, his Birkenstocks. I really, really love the yarn. I am so happy that I dared to try a new sock yarn, because this was actually the start of me trying new sock yarns. Normally, I had always just used wool and nylon blends, acrylic, polyamide, nylon, whatever the plastic name is, and that was fine. I knew that worked and I knew my gauge and everything. And then in Norway over the summer, I was just browsing every yarn store that I came across, and this yarn just really caught my eye because the colours are very beautiful. They are alive without being loud. So the 3 different blues here, they go well together. They are not completely uniform in colour, but they're also not exactly tweed or speckled or marled or anything. They just have a natural variance in colour. I'm also very proud of my maths when it comes to this, because I actually did manage to, after some faffing, I managed to get 2 identical socks with very few scraps. This was a nearly zero waste project because all of the different parts of the sock ended up being just enough to use as much of the yarn as possible. So what I learned from this project is, one, that a big sock is always going to be looking a bit wonky. My socks don't have a seam, or socks that I knit for myself don't have a decrease seam that is quite this long because the sock flap is just not that long, so it doesn't have to decrease as many stitches. So it's always going to be looking a bit strange, I think, because the proportions are just the same, but the number of stitches are larger, so everything looks a bit strange, but that is fine. These are going to look great on. I also learned daring to branch out with different yarns, so that is absolutely what I've done for the rest of the sock projects that I have in this Vlogmas series. And one of the last things that really struck me while knitting this is that it's such a beautiful thing being able to give someone something that you've made with your own hands, knowing full well that this is a bit ridiculous. Knitting a pair of socks that are this large is time consuming. It is not going to be the best fitting sock. It's not going to be the technologically more advanced sock or the most insulating sock or the perfectly engineered sock. But this is a sock for my father that I have spent hours on. I'm getting to knit on these at the very end of the summer during a move. You could tell throughout the video that I was in one location and then in a second and then a third and then in a car and on a train and everything. I don't know if I actually filmed myself on a train knitting these. You will have seen. I haven't seen for ages what I just filmed with the boxes and stuff and everything in chaos, and not at all in the mood for winter knit. But I got to look forward to Christmas this way. I got to look forward to giving these to my father, and the happiness that I have gotten out of these socks before even giving them to my father is so great. So I know that as soon as I hand these over, they are going to a home where they will be used, but they have already spent time in a home where they are cherished while I was making them. So gift knitting, it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to do. So it just, this project in particular, it really struck me that it's such a privilege to have the time and the means and the physical ability to make my loved ones something. And even if something were to happen, if these were to felt, or if these were to break after 4 uses, or if one of the socks accidentally got lost, the happiness of making them and giving them has already been talked into existence. So knitting these socks in the autumn was a very good call, because I would not have wanted to knit these during the weeks leading up to Christmas. This was a good knit, a good mindless knit. It was a very pleasant yarn to work with, unlike some of the projects that I've been working on since, unlike some of the socks that I've been working on since, where the yarn was just, it's meant for wearing on your feet, not working with your hands. But this sock yarn was made for both. So when I go back to Norway in January, I would probably be checking out some more Dale Garn. But I won't be doing it before then because I am currently on a no buy for yarn, because I have so many beautiful yarns that I have bought and taken home and wanted to make projects with, and didn't get around to it because of one thing or another. I mean, because I had so much yarn, I couldn't do anything with all of it at the same time. So I am savouring what I have, and as soon as I don't have any sock yarn that I want for a project, I am going to buy some more Dale Garn. I'm very keen to see how this yarn works up with a colour work. So I think that I might actually make myself a pair of Christmas socks in this very yarn, in a different colour combination obviously, for next year. Because I do not have time this year. I have some gift knitting to do, and I will not be making any Christmas socks for myself this year, unfortunately. But that is a video for another day. So if you like this video and if you want to see more, click right here and that will take you to the playlist of this year's Vlogmas series. And if you want to stick around and see my next video, click on the subscribe button so I pop up in your feed next time I post. That's probably going to be tomorrow. And if you like the video, click the like button. Thank you for watching. I hope you take care of yourself, and see you next time, probably tomorrow. Bye.